on blast.
And we are live. This is the Wrap It Up Raptors on Blast post-game show. I still said that wrong, but it's okay. We're gonna keep going. I'm as rattled as the Raptors are, apparently, right?
We play playoff jitters. Playoff jitters.
We're live. This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show. As always, my name is Sheldon Alexander, and this episode of Wrap It Up is brought to you by Clean Cuts Barbershop, 2013 Danforth Avenue in the East End of Toronto. Clean Cuts, the multicultural barbers that will always keep you fresh for any and all occasions. So go see Skip and the crew. As a wise man once said, tell them that I sent you. Check them out on Instagram at Clean Cuts Toronto, or give them a call at 416-917-4833 to book your appointment now. Wow. Is it also my first game of the playoffs? Like, I feel like I just stumbled just as much as the Toronto Raptors did. They lose. Yes, again, the Toronto Raptors lose game one to the Orlando Magic. I can't believe that's a thing. But before we get there, let's get through the pleasantries. I'm joined by my guy Q. Q, what's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. The Raptors are not good. That was not good.
That was not good at all. No. And of course, I'm here with my guy Mikey as well. Bellamo, what's good, my dude? How you doing?
My stomach's hurting a little, but I mean, I'm good besides that. The Raptors are now, guys, 2-14. Yes, 2-14 all-time playoff series game ones.
Sorry, repeat that again for me.
The Raptors in game ones
Toronto
of every
Raptors.
playoff series is now
Ever.
2 game one wins, 14 game one losses.
Yes. Yep. Toronto Raptors lose, as mentioned, 104-101 in game one of the NBA playoffs. But I'm going to say this. I know I've started this podcast. I sound rattled because I am a little bit rattled, but I'm not rattled by the Raptors' loss. I'm disappointed in the Raptors' loss, and there's a lot of different reasons for that disappointment. Them losing game one, whatever. I can deal with that. They missed a lot of shots, whatever. Yeah. The two things that I cannot deal with is the fact that your man's DJ Augustine is out here going for 25 points, 9 of 13 shooting, meaning he was just getting busy.
Big game DJ.
And icing the game. DJ Augustine, Mikey, I'll start with you. What?
Well, okay, we're talking about DJ Augustine.
Yeah, that play. No, that playoff killer, DJ Augustine. The playoff killer.
If you watch that, like we all did, DJ Augustine had 10 feet of room to make that shot. Mm-hmm. Where was the coverage?
With 2 seconds left.
Marc Gasol missed the three that could have given the lead, and then had a blown coverage on the defensive side with 3 seconds left.
Yeah.
Right? That's where it comes down.
You make him drive. What's DJ Augustine? Is he 6 feet?
Sorry?
Is he 6 feet, DJ Augustine?
No. Come on, man.
5'10"?
I feel like
you make DJ Augustine drive to the basket. You do not leave DJ Augustine with a wide open three.
He did the play before, and he tied it up.
Yeah.
Make him drive to... And if we want to get to that play before, there was 2 Raptors in the lane.
Yeah.
Nobody tried to take a charge. Nobody tried to block a shot. Nobody...
So... You alluded to it, and down the stretch, the Raptors looked like they were in a great position, right? Mm-hmm. Kawhi Leonard, who... I mean, we'll get to Kawhi Leonard lately because I feel like we all have a lot of strong thoughts on Kawhi Leonard. Yep. And there's people throwing up Kyle Lowry as trash, which seems like a Toronto Raptors tradition.
Him and Ben Simmons had some weird game plans today, guys.
A lot of people in the chat throwing up some Kyle Lowry as trash. We'll get to that in a second. Yeah. But with all of that said, the Raptors still should have won this game. Down the stretch, Kawhi Leonard, after he hit those 2 big boy buckets for the Raptors, we all probably thought, hey, the game was over at that point, right? Kawhi did what he did, showed why he's the guy, and then Marc Gasol misses the open three, as you said, which it went in and out. It's a tough basket. Cool.
Open look, though.
But defensively is what I've been pounding pounding the pavement, saying the Raptors will win in the playoffs because they play defense. And it was 2 defensive lapses that caused the Raptors down the stretch. The first one, I mean... Somebody has to help on defense. There's no help. There's no way DJ Augustine can get from the top of the key all the way to the basket and no one touches him. At least foul him.
By Danny Green.
Make him go to the line, something. I don't know. And then Marc Gasol, it's clock awareness, as you said. You got to know there's like less than 3 seconds left.
There's 2 seconds left.
He's not driving, or make him drive all the way to the basket. Cool, but you got to run him off the line.
Yep.
That was bad communication. I don't know what the game plan was.
I think he thought Kawhi was taking him because I think Kawhi was kind of next to him.
Yeah,
but either way,
somebody has to take him.
Blown coverage for sure. I think that could be it because
Kawhi was.
But at that point, there's not really much time for him to then pass the ball, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
I don't know what he was thinking because he was heading back towards.
And who's he passing the ball to? T. Ross.
Yeah. Well, what's the strategy there, right? You got to know that there's some kind of game plan. And we talked about this earlier during the game, right? How Danny Green and Kawhi kind of have this unwritten communication where they know when they're going to switch screens. Yep. They know when they're going to fight over screens. And in that situation with Marc Gasol, I don't know if him and Kawhi Leonard were both on the same page in terms of what was going to happen.
I mean, they didn't call a timeout, right? It was just after the Marc Gasol missed, grabbed the rebound.
No timeouts are called.
So, like, that's a tough part, too, because if you think about it, if there was a timeout called, would that give, and it's a good play by Orlando, because would that have given the Raptors a chance to get Gasol off the floor? Because you would probably, you could go small in that situation, right? And just have all small players. Or you have Surgeon. That's another thing as well. But just bad communication there at the end for the Toronto Raptors. But let's be serious for a second here. This game against the Orlando Magic should not come down to the wire.
No.
Right?
They were up.
That's not a thing that should happen.
They were up 5 with 5 minutes to go. Okay?
Shouldn't have been that close.
Then Orlando went on a mini 6-0 run.
At the end of the game, you're talking?
No. They're up 5 with 5 minutes left to go. The Raptors were.
I'm with you.
Orlando then went on a 6-0 run. And they got the lead with 1:58 left. Okay? But they were up 5 with about 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in a playoff game. How you let Orlando go on I know it's only 6 points, but the mini run there without maybe a timeout, without anything to stop that, right? It's kind of concerning to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I just don't get how
Coach Nurse didn't execute.
So let's get to this, because what I'm thinking here, as I look to the box score, can you just shot me a look? Because the game ended and we were about to say something and then we both just stopped. We all just stopped and said, let's save it for the show. Because I know people are going to talk about Kyle Lowry, and we'll get to Kyle Lowry.
Something bigger than that, yeah.
I'm looking at this box score right now, and it's a playoffs. It's game 1 of the NBA playoffs.
For a team
for
a team that notoriously is bad in game 1s.
Yeah, I'm not even using that as an excuse. I'm just keeping this funky, keeping it simple. I'm keeping this very, very
minutes
simple.
Per game.
It's game 1 of the NBA Finals. Kawhi Leonard's been on a load management program for the entire season long. And game 1, Kawhi Leonard plays 33 minutes.
Yeah. Jonathan Isaac, guys. Jonathan Isaac, rookie. Second year with him. Jonathan Isaac played 40 minutes.
Siakam played 42 minutes.
And Kawhi played 32.
Why is Kawhi Leonard playing 33 minutes? Because when I look at this game,
sorry, can we
no, but hold on.
Kyle Lowry, him of all of his 0 points, played 33 minutes and 51 seconds.
So basically 34 minutes.
34 minutes.
Played more than
Kawhi.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah. I need an explanation.
The team's star.
Was that Coach Nurse? Was
the team's
Kawhi?
star player. I don't think so.
I'm looking at Coach Nurse right now, and he's talking, and I'm hoping that someone's going to let us know why Kawhi Leonard only plays 33 minutes in a game. And it's a playoffs. I understand load management for the whole year.
And it was close.
Listen,
but also beyond that, hold on. Okay. Also beyond that, just watching this game and how the game was playing out, the Raptors were good when their starters were in the game. The offense was flowing. It didn't even matter. Kyle Lowry was missing shots. Danny Green, Pascal and Kawhi were both cooking. Yeah. Pascal Siakam, first off, we shouldn't have gotten this long with that. This is on me for not giving him love. 24 points for Pascal in his first game as like a big time performer, like where there's now expectations on you.
And he played well in the fourth.
Played well. 24 points, 9 rebounds, 4 assists. I mean, 24 points on 24 shots. Okay, but we'll take it. He grinded it out. He put up a good night. But the starters were playing so good. When the Raptors ran into problems in this game, it was their bench that did not play well. Fred VanVleet, you're going to look at the numbers and see 14 points, but I don't think he played well in this game at all. Norm didn't play well. Ibaka was okay, but we know Ibaka's play is going to be more dependent on point guards helping him to cook. We know that, right? The Raptors ran into trouble with the extended bench minutes, which we saw in the first half, where Orlando went on the crazy run. And then
fourth quarter,
same thing. and I don't understand it. I don't know why we've watched so many games in this regular season where the Raptors would be doing well to start. They go to the bench, and then by the time Kawhi Leonard checks back in the second quarter,
it's a tie game or something.
Yeah, it's a tie game where the Raptors are losing. Yeah. This is the playoffs. Extend Kawhi Leonard's minutes,
and there's a break there's a 3-day break too.
But
we're not playing again since Tuesday.
There's no back-to-backs. So here's my thing, and again, I'm old school. I'm very old school, right? There is no reason why a Kawhi Leonard, top 10 player in the league, the team's best player, should be the fourth in minutes played for this team. There's no reason. I don't care about this load management stuff. I'm cool with that for the regular season. We know the Raptors were going to be get home court advantage. We knew that since July, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Load management. Cool. Let him do what he wants.
Yeah.
This is playoffs time.
No, definitely.
Right? And this is a game. So like you're expecting to play. Now there is another game one on tonight. We'll leave that for another show. But you're expecting to play a Philadelphia 76ers team who made some trades during the deadline, who already had a big three. That's who you're expecting to play. You need to run Orlando out the building real quick.
Yeah. And Philly lost too.
But here's the thing, right? Even if the Raptors had somehow pulled that game out and Kawhi hits those big buckets at the end, and cool, okay, like let's say the Raptors,
they win.
But I'm saying let's just say that they win that game and you squeak out a victory. Yeah. I'm still coming here and saying the exact same things. There's no reason for Kawhi Leonard to only play 33 minutes in this game. There's no reason for Van Fleet, who wasn't playing that well, to play 27 minutes in this game. Yep. Kyle Lowry, you said it. I'm not even. Do we want to get to Kyle Lowry, or are we still mad at?
Well, I just want to say one quick point.
Go on with Kawhi.
So I just want to say
there's a lot of stuff with Kawhi.
Yeah, I want to say one quick point that you mentioned. So the first half to me was big because the Orlando Magic went on a 15-0 run, and during that 15-0 run, I don't think Kawhi was on the floor.
Of course not.
Stop it. You gotta put him in when it's a 7-0 run, 8-0 run, 10-0 run. If you want, then take him back out. Nick Nurse has got to use this. To his advantage.
Yeah.
This isn't the regular season, like we said, with this back and forth. When another team in a playoff series, there's only 7 games. When you go on a 15-0 run, your best player has to come on the floor to stop it.
And you make a great point, because here's the thing. Raptors came out in this game, and Kawhi Leonard wet his first 3 shots. They didn't even touch rim, as I think you pointed out, right?
Yeah, he was meshing all.
He's cooking
all
off
shots.
The front end of the game. Cool. You go to the bench. The bench doesn't really have it. Raptors were leading by 5 after 1. But the big thing was they started the game 3 of 14 from 3. So 3-point shots aren't falling. They're still in the game. The Orlando Magic, as you mentioned, Mikey, go on a huge run. I think it was a 12-4 run by the Magic. They actually end up taking the lead. 15-0 run.
They were
in
up
the
16 at one
They
point.
were up 16 in the second quarter. And again, most of that damage done against the Raptors bench.
No
and
Kawhi.
now you have
Danny Green.
They end up having an 8-0 run at the very end,
Yep,
led by Danny Green 3, Marc Gasol 3, to cut the lead to
It's like 57-49.
57-49. You're right. That was the score at halftime. So the Raps are lucky to be in this game, but right there, you see the evidence. Hey, our bench, let's not play lineups where we don't have Kawhi and Siakam on the floor. Like those two, one of those two guys, and
You've
Danny
been a
Green or
proponent of that
Kawhi
all season.
Yes.
Having one of your better players on with the bench
at all times.
And that has been the downfall of the Raptors, not just this year, in years past, is they go into the playoffs thinking what worked for me in the regular season is going to work for me in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We won 59 games. Why would we change it up now? Because it's the playoffs.
Hey, there's one thing I want to say too, and I don't want to even get too far into this without mentioning this. In no way, shape, or form, I don't think any of us are worried about the Raptors losing this series, right? Like, I'm more frustrated by just the way that the approach that the Raptors had in this game, that they're thinking that, oh, well, it's okay. I'm going to let Fred and Norm play a little longer. Let them work their way out of this. No, this is the playoffs. There's no time for that. They don't have it. They didn't have it in the game. Sub out, like you mentioned it. Kawhi checked back in the fourth quarter with 6 minutes left.
Yeah.
What
they did every game in the regular season.
But this is the thing. But he went out with minutes left in the third.
Yeah.
right? So we're used to watching championship teams,
Yeah.
which we're expecting this team to be, where LeBron would go out with 30 seconds left in the third,
Or
right?
play a
So
whole
he gets
48.
so he gets that 30 seconds off plus the break in between, right? Which is like an actual 15-minute break. Comes back in and plays the whole fourth
Yeah.
quarter.
Yeah.
I'm sure
Right?
what's everyone saying? They're probably so mad too.
we weren't up. If we were up 10, 12, 15 points at
And
that
I'd
point,
understand
sure.
it. Yeah.
The other part too that I think goes under like people we don't realize enough is that when Kawhi Leonard is sitting on the bench, okay, and he's watching the fuckery that's going on with the Raptors, and now he checks back in the game. Of course he's coming in and pulling shots.
Yeah.
And people get mad and they try to be like, oh, well, there's no ball movement now. Like, what ball movement do you expect? The man
Yeah.
just sat here and watched the Raptors shit away the game against DJ Augustine, to which let's get to Kyle Lowry now because DJ Augustine torched from beginning to end, no doubt.
Yeah.
But DJ Augustine's work in the first half was the real problem, right? He started this game with 19 points on 7 of 9 shooting in the first half of this game. Raptors make the adjustment. They put Danny Green on him in the second half, which slowed him.
Yep.
Slowed him a bit, right?
Slowed him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, what did he finish with?
25.
25.
25.
So,
So,
we had, 6 points in the second half?
so Danny Green did his job, right? There's the adjustment made by Nick Nurse. Cool.
And 5 of those in the last 30 seconds.
Right? So again, the adjustment was made there. But let's be serious. Kyle Lowry, bare minimum, can't get cooked by DJ Augustine.
No.
0 points is pathetic.
And
Like
you
it's
missed 2 free throws.
But I knew.
it's
but
very
I
hard.
Knew,
It's very
I
hard to
knew.
get 0 points and play and be a starting point guard and play 34 minutes in a game and get 0 points. Like
0 of
that's hard to
7.
do.
0 of 2 from free throws.
Are you
But-
worried
but-
about Kyle?
DJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know why? Because everybody knows that this is in his head.
Yeah.
It is. It's in his head. And the narrative was around Kyle's got to show up, Kyle's got to show up, Kyle's got to show up. And we said it, I said it, we said it at the first quarter. When he missed those first 3 shots, I said Kyle missed all 3 of his shots.
Yeah.
You said, I hope they keep giving it to him. I go, he's going to make this.
Yeah.
And,
Q.
and he finished the first 7, and you could see it's in his head.
Q.
For this Orlando series, yes, I'm worried. Not to say that Kyle Lowry is going to make us lose this series, but
No.
DJ Augustine is the type of point guard that will forever torch Kyle Lowry, regular season or playoffs. Kyle Lowry going up against Kyrie, Steph, he seems to show up. He seems to take that as a challenge.
I see what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah,
I see what you're
yeah,
saying
I know what
too,
you're
yeah.
saying.
But
yeah.
the DJ Augustines, the point guards
lower
like that,
tier guys,
those
he
those
doesn't show up
those
for,
guys
yeah.
that are barely starters, they're starters on their team, but
he doesn't get up for
he
those
doesn't get
guys.
up for those games,
It's
and
interesting.
those guys come into the ACC or Scotiabank Arena, whatever you want to call it, and put up
Dunlop.
Dunlop's on this.
20, 25, 30 points, right? Those forever they forever will,
Yep.
right?
It's a weird adage of Brad Marchand and Hockey Style said something. They didn't know they were going to bring it, talking about the Leafs and Mitch Marner. And I guess you could kind of say the same,
Yeah.
where maybe the Raps didn't believe that the Orlando Magic and DJ Augustine would bring it the way they did game 1.
So here's my thing, okay? Kyle Lowry, like getting 0 points as a starting point guard
Pretty ugly.
in an NBA game is completely unacceptable on all levels. But I'll say this. I'm not expecting that much from Kyle Lowry.
He
Like
said
if Kyle
energy.
Lowry, I've been saying from ever since they got Gasol and the pieces have kind of, fit into place where Siakam has clearly emerged as the second option.
Yeah.
I've been saying if Kyle Lowry's getting like 10 points, cool, you take that. Right? Like that's what you need him to do. You need him to lead
Come
the
up
offense.
come up with that steal at the end
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
game,
yeah.
like those
Exactly. He still had 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 2 steals in the game. And again, I am not saying that you can score 0 points and go 0 for 6 from 3 in a game.
But he did
That's
other
not what I'm
stuff.
saying. I don't want people to misconstrue
No,
what I'm
we get
saying.
it, yeah.
That is completely and utterly unacceptable to have 0 points. But I'm not expecting much from Kyle Lowry in the playoffs. Like I'm just not. Like we've been here years before where
Yeah.
we know that if Kyle Lowry played poorly, the Raptors were going to lose for sure. Kyle Lowry played poorly. He played terrible in this game, and the Raptors still, I'm going to say, should have won this game.
Yeah.
That's the part where I'm like, cool, we can blame Kyle Lowry, but we've seen this years before where he has games where he just doesn't shoot well, he doesn't play well. We've seen that story before. We've seen games before in the playoffs where, okay, Van Fleet is doing his thing where he's over dribbling, he's turning over the ball, he's not passing the ball, he's looking guys off. We've seen that in
Taking
years
off
before.
balance, step back to the side, 3-point shots.
We've seen those Raptors before. My thing was, and I said it to these guys, and I tweeted it during the game, the Raptors needed the grown-ups on the floor. And, hey, Siakam cooked. I'm not excluding Siakam. I'm just saying the offense looks way better when it was Kawhi, Marc Gasol, and Danny Green on the floor. The offense just flows better. Everyone's moving around. They're passing the ball. They're looking for who has a better matchup. Those things just seem to flow a lot better when those guys were on the floor. And when you take all three of them off the floor at the same time, right?
Yep.
Like, that's where the Raptors lost this game to the Orlando Magic. And that is a pathetic, pathetic, pathetic thing for the Toronto Raptors. Now, I'm still not worried.
But I think, like, to that point is, and we talked about this again during the game, is when the game is going the way it is, that's when, and Kyle, if you look at Kyle's box score, yes, he had I think it was 8 rebounds, 7 assists, but a lot of that came when he was playing with that second unit, right? So what I'm saying is, when you have the starters on, and now the ball is going through Kawhi and Gasol essentially being a point center, right? That's when, start Kyle. Kyle's your starting point guard, fine, but as the game goes on, let Kyle play with that second unit.
Yeah.
We've seen Kyle have some chemistry with Ibaka, right?
Yeah,
Might
definitely.
maybe get him going too.
And Norm.
Totally.
And Norm, right?
And
when
Van Fleet.
Right? And when you put Van Fleet in that second unit, sometimes Van Fleet thinks, I'm the only one that's going to score on this unit, right? So the ball movement stops and some weird 3-point shots are made, right? So have him play with the starters because he's a shooter. He's not a point guard. Let me run your offense. He's a shooter, right? So when Kawhi's getting double teamed or Gasol's getting double teamed, you find Fred, and Fred gets wide open threes, right? And then on the second unit comes in, Kyle runs the offense, pick and rolls with Ibaka, and that's the way the second unit actually gets. First, they have some defensive, right? But they also get to generate some offense.
Yeah.
Because you're playing a pick and roll instead of just
these are all
just ISO ball.
These
but
are
this
all
is
things Coach knows has to.
But exactly. But this is me, right? Never being an NBA coach, noticing these things. Somebody in that organization has to notice these things.
I really think that his MO is, well, these are our bench guys. These are who we're rolling with. We gotta let Norm and Fred and Serge figure it out. Let the leash go a little longer. But as we were stating,
it's
my
the
biggest
playoffs,
beef
and
is
you adjust.
Well, I don't know.
Right? Like Jody Meeks came into the game.
I wasn't
right?
mad at Jody.
Jody
He hit
Meeks
the
played
and
two.
one.
Jody Meeks played 2 minutes.
You got 3 points.
Jody Meeks had 3 points. Right? Norm Powell played 16 minutes. Norm Powell has 4 points.
And
Right?
not that Terrence Ross cooked him, but Terrence Ross was getting his shots off. Like, Terrence Ross missed a lot of shots. He didn't play well. But Norm wasn't even playing, like, good defense. And that was the thing we talked about during the regular season was even if the bench guys aren't going to come in and they're going to get buckets, at least you have to be getting defensive stops and getting turnovers and turning your defense into offense, getting you easier baskets that way. But the bench wasn't even doing that. And my biggest beef in this whole thing is we could be sitting in a situation where, as everyone's talking about, Kawhi might leave at the end of the day. I'm not letting Kawhi Leonard leave and I'm playing him 33 minutes in a playoff game.
Yeah.
Nah, bro. Like, that's not happening. He needs to play and get busy. And he was doing that. It's just, hey, 33 minutes, 18 shots, 25 points in this game. This doesn't make sense to me. I don't understand the game plan. You can't still be trying to ease him in.
Yeah.
We're all sitting there watching the same game, watching the bench guys struggle and looking around like, okay, where's Kawhi? Why is Kawhi not in this game yet? And I'll say this again for the people in the back because I feel like we blame the Raptors or we blame certain guys when the offense kind of stalls. But I don't really blame them when you're sitting on the bench for so long and then you check back in and you're like, okay, well, I got to do this.
Yeah. And he executes too, right?
Yeah, and you're looking at Kyle. Kyle has 0 points. Like, what else are you? If you're Kawhi Leonard, you're not just gonna jack up shots. But I'll say this before we get to some comments. I'll ask one of you guys first. I'll start with you, Mike. Raptors lose game 1, but are you worried in terms of this season, or this series? How much does that alter what you thought this series was going to be, as opposed to what now after game 1?
I mean,
how does that alter it?
It is a little bit concerning when you lose a game 1, but in playoff series, there's no momentum. Okay, game by game is what happens. So now the stuff that we are talking about will get fixed, hopefully, next game, right?
Yeah.
The more minutes, hopefully the Kyle's points, etc. So now I'm not worried. I think maybe this was a little bit of a blessing in disguise. Not that they were ever going to be losing to Orlando, but they could adjust some things, go back to the table. And I think just we gave Orlando one game that I think everybody said they were going to get anyways.
Q?
Worried? No. This is Orlando. I think when you go back to talk about the Raptors are 2-14 in game ones. You get worried when you're playing Cleveland with LeBron. You get worried when you're playing Washington with Beal and John Wall.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Evan Fournier and and
T-Ross.
I don't expect DJ Augustine to average 20 points.
No.
Right? So I'm not worried. I think at worst maybe they extended the series one more game. I said Raptors in 5. Right?
No,
I gave Orlando a game at home. Maybe they get a game on the road and it's still 5, or maybe they still get one at home and it's Raptors in 6.
Yeah.
I don't like.
At
this point, I'm not worried at all.
No, I'm not worried.
After Tuesday's game, we'll have a different conversation.
Here's my thing, right? Like I came into this saying Raptors in 5 max, not worried about the Magic beating them 4 games. Like I don't see that being a thing.
No.
And it was funny. We were joking around at work, like, what if the Raptors were to lose game 1? Like, what would the reaction be? And I said, I'd actually just laugh because there'd be so much panic in terms of, oh no, here we go again. Raptors lose game 1, blah, blah, blah. And I would laugh. And the reason why I'm not laughing is because I keep staring and trying to figure out why Kawhi only plays 33 minutes and why Nick Nurse is still riding with long. Because in my mind, when OG went down, we should talk about this before we get to some. Don't worry, people. We will read your comments in a second.
OG
We're
had
fired up.
appendicitis, if nobody knew.
Yeah, so OG's out. He could be out for the
series, 2 weeks.
No. Woj is saying he could be out to the conference finals. Yeah, Woj is saying he could be out till the conference finals.
Okay, so yeah, it was minimum 2 weeks.
Was minimum, but
It
now
could go
it's
longer.
So
McCaw's out too.
when that word came out and people were like, oh, is this a big deal? I was like, no, because he's their 9th man. And what does your 9th man matter in the playoffs? That was my thinking.
But the way it's going now,
thinking that
He
why
might
would
have
your
mattered.
9th man matter? I mean, why are you playing more than 8 guys in the playoffs? Kawhi's going to be playing 40 minutes. I mean, if Nick Nurse's plan is we're going to play Kawhi 33 minutes and, hey, maybe OG's minutes do matter, right? But I'm so baffled by this. Like, it makes no sense to me at all. And let's talk about this, though, just in terms of OG. Do you think the Raptors will miss OG Anunoby in this series or the coming series if we get by the Magic?
In this series, no. Like I said, this is the thing. It's Orlando, and this is why I think that the Raptors, like, just to prove a point, even if it's just to themselves, should just run over this Orlando team
For sure.
Because this is not. It's barely a playoff team, really, really and truly, right?
Yeah.
Like Vucevic had an all-star season.
They were one of the hottest teams.
T. Ross
Really
finished the
did.
season like we've never seen T. Ross before, right? So I'm not saying it's the up and coming team, but this is the type of team that a team like the Raptors, who are
A veteran team.
a veteran team, championship caliber team, I believe,
Yeah, of course.
right? Should run over, right? Like you're thinking if Orlando's in the Western Conference and they're playing Golden State, Houston, or whatever, this is a blowout.
Yeah.
Right? So I'll give them the Raptors came back. The Raptors came out, they couldn't shoot. If the Raptors make they started 4 of 19.
4 of 18 or
If they're
something.
9
Yeah.
if they're 9 of 18,
It's a different
8 of 18, it's a blowout. It's a different game. So they missed it and they missed wide open shots. So I'm not worried at all about this Orlando team.
Yeah.
if OG's out in the second round, third round, then maybe you're thinking it could be an issue just because is Fred gonna have a good playoffs? Is
And Lynn
Norm
play a minute.
is Norm gonna have a good playoffs? Like right, like you start with the 8th or right,
Yeah, someone
but
writes in
eventually
and
you might
says-
bring a 9th player in there.
Someone writes in on Twitter and says, OG Anunoby and McCaw defense was sorely missed. Imagine any one of them on Augustine. Augustine would not have gone off on us with those two.
Very good point.
So OG, I don't know so much, but McCaw definitely would have been someone you could see them throwing in for like the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Do
or
we
something.
know how long McCaw's out for?
I'm not sure when McCaw. They're saying McCaw could be back or available in this series. I'm
Let's
pretty
hope.
sure. But at the end of the day, like
But
I think the adjustment's made already. They'll have
Yeah.
Danny Green guarding Augustine
Yeah.
from the beginning. They'll work out what they're going to do on those pick and rolls.
But
when
that's
they
what I
try
was,
to pick and
but
roll
that's what I was gonna
Kawhi
say
or
is
whatever.
Danny Green did his job in the second half.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
DJ had 1 point, and then in those last 2 plays, DJ did his job. Remember, he's a guy that's 6'7", playing. I don't even know how tall DJ. A little point guard, a little quick point guard.
Yeah.
His job is to lead him into the defense,
The trees.
which he did. The defense just didn't do anything
Wasn't
about
there.
it.
Nobody rotated.
Nobody rotated. Right. So Danny Green did his job.
Correct.
Right. Maybe you make that adjustment in the second quarter and not the third in the second half.
Yeah.
And then again, you're in a totally different game.
It's funny. People are getting at me because I tweeted during the game that I'm not worried. This team is just different, right? And people are getting at me now. Oh, what are you saying now? All that stuff. Cool. This team is different, and I'm not worried because they lost game 1. I remember in years past when they would lose to, like last year,
Yep.
for example, when they went up 2-0 and then lost the next 2 in Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought, this team could lose this series. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Year before, first round against Milwaukee Bucks. Remember, the Raptors were struggling in that first round series as well. I was like, they're going to lose this series. This season, or this series, I'm not worried. Like, this team is different. Anything I saw in this game just reaffirmed that, hey, multiple things. First off, 1, play more of Danny Green and Kawhi. Play your grown-ups. Danny Green, Kawhi Leonard. Play them. Your offense works better that way. When those guys are not on the floor, when Gasol's not on the floor, and now it's turned over to Fred or Siakam to lead the offense, it's isomania, and those guys aren't even playing defense, which is a bigger problem. Let's get to some comments, though, before we wrap up, because there's a lot of people here that wrote in, and I would like to read those comments. Thomas says on Instagram, we always lose game 1.
Yeah. 2-14.
Rock DTV says, Kyle, the friendly ghost. Again, sorry, we got so hyped I didn't even get into the pleasantries, though, of saying shouts to the people tuning in live on Twitter after each and every game at Shell Alexander. Same thing goes for Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. That's how you can interact with us live during the podcast. And of course, this becomes full-on podcast, which you can find on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, and YouTube. Just look for On Blast Podcast. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends. Get in the comments. I'm sure the comments will be all fired up on YouTube after this one for sure. Waiting to hear what the guys have to
Jeff
say there.
Berg will be on it.
Oh, the Gasol haters are going to come at me for this one for sure. Do you guys think Serge should get more burns? Should have taken some more minutes from Gasol
No,
in this
this
game, or
doesn't
were
change
you
my
okay?
opinion of what Gasol. I mean, he missed. That was an in and out the last second. It was a blown coverage at the end. Like that was. I mean,
Gasol-
besides that, he played pretty well. There was a couple. There was even one point in the game, I believe, it might have been in the second quarter, but Gasol was kind of telling Kyle where to go. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like
He's
that's
directing
just
the traffic.
that's just what Gasol does. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not worried about.
He
Gasol.
finished with 13
I'm not worried
points.
about Gasol. It would have been nice to hit that 3,
13 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists in this game. Took
but
a
a lot
charge.
more little things too.
2 of 5 from 3, 5 of 9 from the floor overall. Took a charge, as I
Yeah.
mentioned.
I don't
Solid.
think Serge played a bad. I'm maybe you put Serge in that last possession just defensively.
He just didn't have a chance to.
Orlando
Didn't have a
called
chance to.
timeout,
Yeah.
More comments here on Instagram. Lowry doesn't disappoint. LOL. Poor Kyle Lowry. I love Lowry, but shake my head.
Yeah.
Brittany also took your stat there, Mikey, saying 2-14 in game 1s all time. This Raptors franchise. Coach Los says Lowry has to go. Yo,
I'm seeing a lot of bringing Kemba, get Kyle out of here on Twitter.
Yeah,
when I was
Kyle
looking
is such
at
a
it.
disappointment. Raptors doing Raptors things. Same old, hope not. Again, I'm not worried. I don't think the Raptors are. There's anything to worry about here. If you're expecting DJ Augustine to do that every game, it's not going to happen. Emma says everybody remain calm.
Yeah,
I'm with Emma, right?
I think
No,
I
the
think
media is going to turn this.
I know the media will. They're gonna.
Oh, of
It's a
course.
story. The 2-14 is a
Yeah.
story. Game 1-0, it's happening again is a story. I go back to the fact that it's the Orlando Magic. They don't scare me at all.
Yeah. I'll switch over to Twitter, read some comments there. Someone says, we lost this game solely because of Kyle Lowry. I'm not going to put it all
I mean, the
on Kyle
Raptors didn't
Lowry.
shoot
No.
well, guys.
Yeah. As a
Right?
team, they didn't shoot well. Exactly. You started game.
They missed
And
wide
again, a
and his wide
15-0
open
run.
his wide open shots. Like Orlando
Yeah.
might when you look at the field goal percentage and the 3-point percentage, Orlando's gonna say, "Oh, good defense, Orlando." But they did. It was wide open shots that we were missing.
And you
Yeah.
stopped 15-0 runs in the playoffs. You don't let that happen. You don't.
yeah.
And it was crazy, too, right? You mentioned Raptors were down by as much as 16 in the first half. They went on, like a 20-2 run
Yeah.
in the
Start the
second to
third,
start
yeah.
the third quarter. Things were looking good. Raps were
Yep.
then again the bench shit that away, and they were only up 1 going into the fourth quarter, and it was just a weird game. But to me,
And I think
the things that you need to do to win are very obvious, right? Like extend your starters' minutes, less of having all those bench guys on at once. Like, why not, if you're giving Fred minutes, give Fred minutes with Kawhi and Kyle and Marc Gasol and Pascal. Like, do your substitutions in that situation to where you're not relying all on Fred and Norm to be on the floor at the same time together.
yeah.
I don't know, but story for
But
another day.
and again, like you start the game 4 of 19. Maybe you should not be just
Drive.
jacking up threes.
Unless you're Danny Green, keep
Yeah.
shooting, right?
Right, like Norm. Like I remember in one play in the second half, Norm again took a three. He was wide open, but not even wide open. I think he pump faked. The defender flew by him. He took a three. Not a bad shot,
Yeah.
but you have not been hitting.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The very next
Totally.
possession, he did the exact same play, pump fake, drove to the lane, and made the layup. Like that's how you get yourself into the game.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally agree. More comments here as we wrap up, though. Let me just get through some more comments. Again, shout to all the people. Really appreciate you guys writing
Yes,
in
yes.
and joining us live. Lowry, pathetic performance, says Thornton on Twitter. Another comment here says, leave Kawhi in. Leave Kawhi in the whole game. Nurse getting too cute with this shit. Another comment says, why were they playing Serge and Gasol so much? I actually didn't mind seeing the Serge and Gasol together look. And I think that's also a way that you adapt to not having OG Anunoby. You get Serge in some minutes playing the 4. And I think with certain matchups against Orlando, you can get away with that. Right?
Yeah.
So I don't mind that. I kind of like
And
that.
especially if you're not getting production from your bench, Serge is a starter. He's playing on our bench, but Serge is a starter.
Yeah.
You
The
put
Raps-
right, and he has playoff experience.
The Raps also is a little. I don't know what it ended up, but I know the Raps were really outplaying them in the fast break points.
Okay.
Which shows hustle and speed, and clearly they're a lot better at that than Orlando is. It was just the shooting was off.
Because the other part too is I think that you mentioned that stat, and that stat, a lot of that you'll see come from the Raptors defense turning into
Turning
offense,
it over,
right? Getting
Kyle long
turnovers.
passes.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's where they were excelling.
But those guys got to be in the game to have that happen more
Exactly.
often, as Boston just scores to take the lead 1-0.
Yeah. It turned out to be a good day, guys. It was a beautiful day out. And
Let me just get through some more comments here for the people that are tuning in. From what they showed, Nurse didn't address Kawhi's minutes. Thanks for that update, which I don't know why someone wouldn't ask them, because do people find that normal? Like, am I making...
No, this
Something
is
out
the
of nothing
only
here?
logical explanation I can say is they clearly think what Q's thinking, that Orlando doesn't scare them. They clearly think that they're going past the second round fairly easily, and so they're just limited in Kawhi's minutes to get a full-on Kawhi
against
in the
Giannis.
third round. Yeah, that's the only thing I can see. And you know what? It backfired on them.
Yeah.
You know what?
Okay.
I fully appreciate that, but you have to be blowing out Orlando in
Yeah.
this game one for that to take
I mean,
effect.
you
Like
see-
a game where you're losing,
Yeah.
losing
They got
like
too cute.
halftime you're down
That's it,
down
guys.
8, could have been down more.
They got too cute. This
Right,
game,
second half
and
you're
it
within
bit
1
them in the
point.
ass.
Right, if you're up 5, 6, 7, 8, cool.
As that explodes in your ear.
Right? Right? That was crazy. No, I was looking up Kawhi's minutes per game this season. I think it was 34 minutes a game this season.
Well,
which
listen,
it's supposed to go up in
me
the
and
playoffs,
Sheldon
right?
talked about this because I asked Sheldon podcasts ago, and it was a pretty bit of a little bit of a topic on the YouTube commenters. I said, "What will Kawhi average after all this load management? What is he going to average in the playoffs? Because I hope it's closer to 40, 38 to 40."
Yeah.
A couple other guys, namely Jeff Berg, great commentator that we got, he said, no, it should be around what Kawhi got. And I mean, I hope this isn't the norm, but I mean, we thought about this.
This can't be the norm in
Yeah.
losses.
We
And I
thought
think
about
that's
this
what we're all
podcast.
saying.
ago.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I
Like,
agree.
that can't be the norm
Now
in
listen,
losses.
if
But
we
I
were
think
up by 15,
you
20,
say
then
that
yeah.
you say that going into a series against Orlando, thinking it's not going to be necessary for him to play 42 minutes.
In close games, you put Kawhi on. And again, this is the biggest thing, guys. There's NBA has 3-day breaks in between games. There's plenty of time for rest.
Yeah.
Play your man.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. More comments here. First, Lowry gave us Ben Simmons' stat line. What kind of shot is that? Kawhi 3. The refs need to give him some respect. That I do agree with. There are times Kawhi doesn't get calls.
And Gasol, too.
Kawhi should be getting I know this sounds crazy to say, but he should be getting the LeBron, the Giannis, the James Harden calls going to the basket. Like, he is on that level. He doesn't talk about it. He's not on social media. He's not arguing in the media about it after the game or whatever. But he is on that level in terms of being an NBA star. And one of those charges that they gave to Michael Carter Williams, where he's not in position at
it was
all,
actually back-to-back
Kawhi's just
charge.
way stronger than him.
Yeah.
And so... and they called a charge on that. It's just like, that makes no sense. Like, you would never make that call on Steph or KD or on whoever.
Yeah.
That's the stuff where if I'm Nick Nurse,
is real.
yeah,
But I don't. The reffing today was confusing.
Gasol had a couple hacks on
Right.
him, no calls as well.
So they didn't call the fouls on shots. Right. There was 2 travels that were called. I thought traveling
On
wasn't
Orlando,
called.
yeah.
Wasn't called in the NBA anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But they called travels like at
Those are 4 or 5 steps, yeah.
mid court travels.
yeah.
And then there are a lot of other touch fouls, like players cutting and you give them a little bump. Like that's not playoff basketball reffing. Like
Yeah.
we're
It's
used
just
to.
weird.
I got
It's
a
just
question for you guys quickly, and
Yep.
commenters too. So on Tuesday, if the Raps go down 0-2, then are you scared?
I mean, on the outset, I'd say no, but depends on how they would lose, right?
Yeah.
But I'll say this much: the biggest reason why I'm not worried about this series at all is because the road, playing on the road, and Orlando's not
Yeah,
even one of those like
Toronto's
crazy
a great road
places.
team, yeah.
But the Raptors are a good road
Yeah.
team. They won the most road games they've ever won in franchise history this season. But also, again, and this is all predicated on Nick Nurse playing the grown-ups, meaning your guys with experience, right? Those guys aren't afraid on the road, playing on the road.
moments
They're
like
not
that.
afraid of
Yeah.
the moment. They're not afraid of the crowd. So that's the other reason why I could easily see the Raptors winning the next 4 games and us laughing about the fact that they
1.
lost game 1 again.
And it might be good for Kyle too.
I think
like you said,
game-
it's in his head. Get away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe he plays a bit better.
Like, and I don't even really think Orlando played that great today. Right.
No.
So for them
Neither
to come
August- neither
right,
team did.
right, neither
was
team.
an ugly game.
Exactly.
DJ Augustin
For the
cooked.
DJ Augustine, of course, yes. But for the Raptors to lose game 2, I think it would take something extraordinary, like a T. Ross 50
Well, we're
point
going to
game.
see the minutes. This
You know
is
what I mean?
where
Like
we're
it
gonna
would
look
take
at
it would take
Kawhi's
something
minutes.
extraordinary to happen
Yeah.
for them to lose that game 2.
Well, again, players that played more than Kawhi Leonard in this game:
Jonathan Isaac.
Danny Green, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam. Marc Gasol played 1 less minute than Kawhi Leonard. But if we go to Orlando Magic, Aaron Gordon played more minutes. Jonathan Isaac played more minutes. Vucevic played the exact same amount of minutes. Evan Fournier played more minutes. Like, that's way too many minutes to
crazy.
be way too many people that played more minutes than the best player on the floor.
Yeah.
Especially
Like,
when the
by
load
default,
management
that makes no sense.
was
Not
for
at all.
this reason.
Like, I steal this from Bill Simmons because I always think it was one of the greatest analogies he always makes. But every business should have a VP of common sense. which simply just means might not be there for the day-to-day,
Yeah.
but if they just come in and pop into a meeting every once in a while.
Say, hello.
Yeah,
that
and
was stupid.
You explain to them what happened. Your VP of Common Sense is like, wait, what? So if the VP of Common Sense for the Toronto Raptors comes in,
where do I send my resume?
right? But the VP of Common Sense comes in and says, okay, who's the best player on the floor on both teams? And you say Kawhi Leonard. And then you say, well, how many players played more than the best player on the floor? And you say, well, 1, 2, 3 Orlando Magic players and 1, 2, 3 Raptor players. What? That doesn't make any sense. Makes no sense.
What's with Toronto coaches doing? I mean, Babcock's not playing Matthews.
We got to remember this is also
not playing
this is
Kawhi.
Nick Nurse's first go, right? Like that's the other part, and he's done a great job in dealing with a lot of different things this
A lot of
season.
different rotations.
But this
yeah.
is the playoffs. This is big. It's about what adjustments you're going to make. It's about how you figure out and adapt to what the other team's doing. It's how you change up from what your script might be going into the game in terms of this is how we're plotting out the minutes and being able to adapt on the fly, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I know I've been saying we're going to wrap up, but there's so many comments. I really do appreciate the people tuning in, and I like, rewarding them by
it's
reading
the first
their
game of
comments.
the playoffs. Let's see
Yeah.
what they're gonna say.
Bronzed Beautiful says, can't wait to hear you guys defend Kyle, who was useless. Well, we've had a lot of the podcast so far, so maybe you'll
Nah, we
comment
ain't
again and let us
defending
know
Kyle.
if we're defending Kyle. You can't defend 0 points. You can't. That is unacceptable.
2 free throws.
That's hard
missed
to
too.
do.
He had a shot to get the point, and he missed both free throws.
Like literally, I could play in the NBA and score 0 points in a playoff game, right? Like I could do that.
Yeah.
Like you can't defend that. That is unacceptable by Kyle Lowry for sure. They're defending that. Someone says Raptors don't deserve Kawhi. His talents are wasted up there. Oh, jeez, that shot's fired.
Yeah.
Another Kyle Lowry is trash. I'm trying to skip over a bunch of the Kyle
all
Lowrys
Kyle.
are trash. Kyle Lowry will single-handedly be the reason Kawhi leaves. He's fucking trash. Wow. People are so bad. Although
And Kyle Lowry was, I don't know if you guys seen it, fourth quarter, it was the timeout after DJ Augustine's dagger.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right on Kyle's face. I mean, he didn't look concerned.
Yeah, here's the
Like-
thing. I'm not worried about Kyle. Kyle keeps shooting. Now, I've always said this, and
Yeah.
we can go back, right? Mikey, you've been here, from way back. Remember when Kyle had the slump? My
slump,
biggest thing was
the beginning
just
of the
keep
season,
shooting. They
yeah.
need
Yeah.
Kyle Lowry to shoot through these slumps, and the most important thing is that he keeps shooting, because once he stops shooting, then you know it's in his head, and then you have even bigger problems. So you want to see him keep shooting because you need him playing with that extra oomph, that pep in his
Yeah.
step where he's knocking
Yeah.
down that transition three,
Yeah.
icing games. That's what Kyle's going to do. He's not going to drop the 25 points to carry you to
like
a
he
game
used
3
to.
win. That's not going to happen. I thought we knew that already.
Yeah.
But again, as brought up by Mercer, I hope I got that right, as I tried to read those handles, $33 million for 0 points.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Money
that's not good.
well spent.
Let's see what else is going on. It doesn't come down to the final shot. It comes down to Kyle Lowry having 0 points.
No, it comes
Diaz,
down to the 15-0 run.
yeah. Diaz
That's what it
says,
comes down to.
"What's up?" Quote load management, Alexander. Listen, man, I'm right there with you. I'm saying,
Yeah, that was your
load
whole
management
point.
was for this reason to
yeah,
play him 40 minutes a
exactly.
game in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Don't worry, I'm right there with you guys. Someone else says Nick Nurse is in over his head. Wow. Let's see.
You think Toronto would be used to these game 1 losses? Still affects us.
Again, I still think it comes down to who that game was against,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, someone says, Big Boy, I don't know, some guy's making fun of me, but he also says Kawhi only showed up down the stretch and was MIA throughout the rest of the game. I disagree,
Yeah, Kawhi was.
but I thought Kawhi
played
played fine
great, yeah.
when he got a chance to actually play.
I mean, Siakam balled out today. That's the one good thing.
Pascal, man,
Pascal played well today.
he didn't shoot
Getting his
like
own rebound.
he shot 50% from the floor, right?
Yeah.
Which is all right. He fought it out. He
But he
shot
took control. It seemed
But
like.
here's another thing. Again, VP of Common Sense. Who's the best player on the floor? Kawhi Leonard.
Who's getting the most
Kawhi Leonard
minutes.
attempted 18 shots in this game. Pascal Siakam attempted 24. Is that what
Yeah.
if you're the Raptors, is that what you want to see?
Weird
No.
game plan.
Right? Like I
No.
want to see Kawhi let
Yeah.
the man cook. Let the man cook. I think that's a pretty nice place for us to
Yeah.
kind of woosah. We're not really worried. Still, hey, when we say Raptors in 5 max, that means there's a chance at the Magic
Might
win a
lose
game.
one.
Yeah.
It just happened to be the first one for the 14th time.
And again, I'll stress this. I'm not worried about the Raps because they could win on the road. We've shown the adjustments made. They switched off, had DJ Augustine guarded by Danny Green. Worked for the most part.
Yep.
Obviously, down the stretch, didn't really work for the last 2 possessions.
Still think
that's
it
okay.
worked. He did what he's supposed to do.
He did. That's fair. I like what Q's saying here. That's true. I like that.
Positive spin.
Positive spin. It's okay. Raptors lose 104-101. Game 1 against the Orlando Magic. Game 2 goes Tuesday night. Tuesday night. Wow, nice solid rest. Another reason why you could have played Kawhi more than 33 minutes in this game.
You could have played Kawhi 48 minutes. Like,
oh man, it's so crazy. But Q, what's going on, man? Where can people find you to hit you up in between the games as you enjoy the other NBA playoff games?
Yeah, so again, we're at DDS Caps on all social media platforms. Me personally is at simply_just_Q. Haven't been here for a minute. Glad to be back. I'll be here for most, if not all, of the playoff games. So let's see a turnaround for Tuesday.
Hopefully, you didn't bring a negative vibe, to the Raptors winning.
Ain't blaming me for this one.
Well, Q hasn't been here for a while, but my guy Bellamo has been holding us down throughout the season, and of course here in the playoffs as well. Mr. Bellamo, where can people find you in between the games?
say it always, every podcast I'm here. YouTube comments, we sit, we read, we love. They're amazing. Hit me up YouTube comments, guys. I try to get to as many as I can. Try to respond. Always reading. Love it. The YouTube community is the best. If you want to hit me up on Instagram, Mike Bello, BELLO_6. Hit me up.
And my name is Sheldon Alexander. Of course, shouts to the people watching live on Twitter at Shell Alexander, and follow up and liking on Instagram at Sheldon Alexander. And I guess I'm going to put the most positive spin on this that I possibly can. If we're living in a world where, as a Toronto sports fan, and you think it might be greedy asking for multiple wins on the same day from your teams, I'll take a Leafs win to go up 2-0 over Boston, and the Raptors losing the first game against Orlando because I feel like they could wash Orlando. Yeah. So if we're being greedy and asking for 2 playoff wins in one day,
the Jays won today.
Go Leafs, go is how I'll end this.
That's how we end it.
But again, thanks to everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate you guys. Just know, keep following on all of our social media accounts because we could have some pretty cool announcements coming up. Just waiting for some things to be firmed up in terms of some live shows at different locations and stuff coming up for the playoffs. But we're working on stuff. Just know that we're cooking. But either way, really appreciate you guys. Shouts to you guys because we wouldn't be doing this right now if it wasn't for you guys listening, following, sharing, communicating with us each and every Toronto Raptors game. And again, I stress this. There's going to be a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon talking Raptors over the next few days. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to tiptoe around it and be very political in how I say this. But choose carefully which talking heads you're listening to, because there's a lot of people jumping on board now that don't know what they're talking about. They didn't watch enough Raptors basketball to know what's going on. And they're going to jump on now and try to pretend like they know what they're talking about. So I'll just say this. Watch everything, but choose carefully who you take in. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you tune back into us as you do after each and every Toronto Raptors game, because I really did used to pray for times like this
to rhyme like this.
This is the Wrap It Up on Blast Raps post-game show, as always, unpolished and unapologetic. Until next time, see ya.